most welcome to Historiespanen, History Reconnaissance, and The Guardian of the Alps. This time we'll bring you the story of the less known part of the French Maginot Line, a line of underground fortresses in the Alps on the border between France and Italy. We'll take you back to 1940, 2,000 feet above sea level, and underground in these fortresses. Inside there are multi-level bunkers, artillery blocks, armored entrances, galleries, machine gun and mortar cupolas. The focus of our story is the fortress Gros Ouvrages du Lavoir. Gros Ouvrages meaning large works, one of many in the Alpine Maginot Line, each with a number of defensive, offensive and service units connected by underground tunnels. And we will also cover the battle in June 1940 with 50,000 French and Italian combatants. So join us in this Alpine exploration, and please like, share and subscribe, it means a lot to us. It was the end of April 1940 in Haute-Maurienne, 6 kilometers south of Modane in southeastern France. It was still the so-called Funny War, or in French, Drôle de Guerre. No major fighting had taken place on the ground on the Western Front since September 1939. But just a few days later, French forces would meet German when two French demi-brigades, Chasseurs Alpins and Foreign Legionnaires, landing in Narvik in Norway. Now, before we continue further underground, a little background. The Maginot Line was a huge construction project in the 1930s to protect France's borders with Germany and Italy. It consisted of 19,000 blocks ranging from single units to large underground fortresses. 1.5 million cubic meters of concrete and 150,000 tons of steel to prevent the country from once more becoming a battlefield and as a shield to mobilize behind. The largest fortresses, Ouvrages, were truly at the cutting edge of technology, but they were shrouded in mystery and often misrepresented in the press as multi-story coast-to-coast underground wonders with tank garages, airplane hangars, and connected by their own underground railway. Entrances to the Maginot blocks had devices that was already in use hundreds of years ago, like moats, drawbridges and heavy gates. Now they were made of reinforced concrete, steel, powered by motors, bulletproof and gasproof. Gros Ouvrages du Lavoir was in June 1940 manned by 7 officers and 218 non-commissioned officers and privates, mainly by units of the 81st Bataillon Alpin de Fortresse, the 164th Régiment d'Artillerie de Position, and the 4th and 28th Régiment de Génie, that is, fortification, artillery and engineered units. Commander was Capitaine Deyris, Commandant d'Ouvrages. Responsible for discipline, administration and external protection was Lieutenant Pasquier, Major d'Ouvrages. Furthermore, there were commanders of artillery, intelligence service, artillery, infantry, command center, and commanders of blocks 1, 2, 4 and 5. The Lavoir fortification belonged to the Gros Ouvrages category, large construction. It consisted of 8 blocks, multi-level bunkers, 5 galleries and a main gallery connected to the block's gallery level with some 60 rooms underground. There were barracks, a command post, workshops, an infirmary, stores for food, ammunition and engine rooms with electricity generators producing 1000 kilowatt-hours, a heating system and 120,000 liters of water stored in 4 cisterns. The longest gallery often included an electric-powered train, dubbed the Métro, after the Paris subway that carried ammunition to the gun emplacements. At a time when many French villages lacked plumbing and or electricity, the Ouvrages featured indoor plumbing and were powered by a sophisticated electrical system. An elaborate telephone network connected every structure in the Maginot Line, as was linked to the French public phone system by buried cables. Modern conveniences aside, life was far from pleasant for soldiers assigned to the Ouvrages. buried deep underground, the structures were generally damp and cold. And while air filtration systems kept out poison gas, the drainage for the latrines tended to back up, often created a markedly bad atmosphere. The artillery at De Lavoir was of two types. The 81mm rear-loaded grenade launcher. Due to the maximum range, 3,200 meters, primarily intended for self-defense, firing fin-stabilized shells at a fixed 45-degree angle. The second was the 75mm howitzer, model 1931, with short barrel, specially adapted for conditions in the Alps. It was called a grenade launcher, but was closer to a light howitzer. The maximum range was 6,000 meters. It was very accurate and could maintain a rate of fire of 12 shots per minute. Block 5 at De Lavoir was one of the most heavily armed in the Maginot Alpine line. 2 embrasures for 75mm howitzers, 4 embrasures for 81mm grenade launchers, and 2 cupolas for observation and light machine gun automatic gun. 3 embrasures for machine gun 1924, model 29, for defense of the 3 trenches. In other ouvrages in the Alpine line, there were also so-called Eclipse turrets with a twin 75mm mount. It had a total weight of 265 tons, including the counterbalance, used to raise and lower the turret. A 75mm turret required a team of 25 men for its full service in combat situations. The maximum range was 11,900 meters and the rate of fire 13 rounds per minute. On June 10, 1940, the war was raging. The French forces were in full retreat and German troops approached Paris. Then, Mussolini declared war between Italy and France, delivering his declaration of war speech from the balcony of the Palazzo Venezia in Rome. The French Alpine line was put on full combat readiness. Alarm signals echoed in its galleries. Steel gates are closed and locked. Just after midnight on June 11th, there were large explosions on the French side. Roads and railways on the border to Italy are demolished, and the southern end of the railway tunnel in Modane is blown up. The following days, large troop concentrations are visible on the Italian side. June 20th, Italian troops crossed the border at Col de la Roue, south of Lavoir, but are forced to retreat after coming under artillery fire from Lavoir and from Dovrage-Sapé. June 22nd, and the French-German armistice was signed. On June 24th, Lavoir opened fire on infiltrating troops from the Italian Superga division on the surface of the neighbor Ovrage-Padiroc. The attack is repulsed. 2 men are injured when an 81mm grenade launcher in Block 5 on Lavoir explodes due to overheating. A total of 3,818 shells are fired from Lavoir's artillery. The 25th of June 1940. Ceasefire in the Alpine line. The day before, a French-Italian armistice had been signed in Rome. Only a few minor outposts of the line were lost, and the losses were many times greater on the Italian side. It was a tactical French victory, where the motto of the Maginot Line was kept: "On ne passe pas," they will not pass. Well-prepared defenses, the Alpine terrain, snowstorms and flawed Italian strategy contributed greatly to this. Or, as a French historian puts it, the men in the Alpine line defended their own houses and roast on the dinner table. Nevertheless, Mussolini had achieved what he stated when the battle began. "I only need a few thousand dead to sit at the peace conference as a man who has fought." During the Vichy regime, Lavoir and the other Alpine ouvrages were protected by the French fortification guards, Gardiennage d'Ouvrage. After the war, Ouvrage de Lavoir was restored by the French engineering troops and maintained until the 70s. The municipality of Modane has owned it since 2004, when it was handed over from the French army.
That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.